Today we're gonna talk about some major changes to our city of Prague that we love the most. So hello and welcome to The Honest Guide. And if the changes you're expecting to see today are a new cathedral being built or a new castle, you are dead wrong. We're gonna talk about tiny little minor changes that will actually affect you most on your visit to Prague. And we're starting right here at this new crosswalk. When you come here today, it's a fairly busy intersection with cars, trams, and pedestrians. But only a couple years ago, pedestrians were not able nor allowed to cross it because there was no crosswalk. And now you may wonder, why was there no crosswalk? Well, they disappeared when we built the underground, the metro, the subway, because we built little tunnels for pedestrians, and we thought it would be a great idea to leave the cars on the street, but put people on the ground. That was a great idea. No, not really. And then we grew up and we realized, how about we put people back up on the street where they belong? And therefore, we painted them beautiful white crosswalks. Look at them, happy faces crossing the street, not needing to go on the ground. Myslíte si, že to je super, že tady je ten přechod?
Jo.
A řekli byste, že vám to dává úsměv na tvář?
No mě jo, protože dřív se to, než se člověk chodil furt dolů a nahoru, tak...
And if you think the changes we're about to show you on today's video only affected the locals, us, you'll be dead wrong because most of them actually affected you, visitors and tourists to our city. So let's go to the next one. Another major minor change is right here. This is a highway that cuts through our city. And just a couple years ago, you were not able to cross it, you could only go under it. And then somebody said, well, the cars have an intersection here, they have to stop here no matter what. How about we just paint a crosswalk here and give a little green guide to the pedestrians so they can cross? And they did exactly that, and it is a minor, major change for the city. Neuvěřitelný. This is a sidewalk, which is pretty obvious, especially when you consider the fact that we're next to National Museum, the State Opera House, the main train station, and one of the most expensive parts of our city. There should be a sidewalk connecting these. But no, many years ago, there was only a highway, but then the city decided, well, how about people also move there on foot? So they built this sidewalk. It still makes us happy. It's an old change to the city, but it's a great change. And nobody really mentioned that it also has the longest bench you can sit on and admire its beauty. I love it here. You can watch the trains. If you're into trains, this is a good spot. No way. No way. Hooray! Žižkov! Why am I so happy? Well, back in the days, this was a dead end. You could not continue to Žižkov, which is a part of Prague. And now you can. Somebody thought of the bright idea to dig a tunnel so people, kids, mostly university students, because there's a university over there, don't have to illegally cross the railroad tracks, but they can continue on the ground and then get out. Now, they could cross the railroad tracks, but they usually were fined by the police officer that was standing there and fining them around 20 euros for one crossing. And eventually, his hat full of fines filled up. So he was like, well, now I have enough money to build those kids a tunnel, which is exactly what they did. And it's an awesome change. Seriously, is that kid happy about a 30-meter tunnel? Yes.
Je to užitečný, protože hodně lidí běhalo přes koleje a to byl dost problém. A takhle to nemusíme obcházet a objíždět tramvaj.
Proč to byl problém chodit přes koleje?
No tak za prvý bezpečnost a za druhý hodně lidí bylo chyceno policajtama.
Honza had a good point how to illustrate the importance of this change. Fighting for the change were maybe only a few people. Some students that study here at the university were saying, look, we want to have a direct path from the train station. Just a few of them. But if you would get rid of this underpass now and you would just cover the whole up, a lot of people would be mad because they consider now this to be absolutely normal, that every day they use it. Why would somebody get rid of it? Or how come this was not always here? So we consider it to be a good change. And one of the students actually said the same thing. Kolik byly tak pokuty?
Já nevím, myslím, že 5 kilo,
5 kilo.
Ale nejsem si jistá.
No my jsme slyšeli, že právě z těch pokut se postavilo tohle.
Fakt?
No, takže vy jste vlastně investoři té stavby.
No. Tak ještě, že je chytali, že jo?
This is the big square. That's what you're going to call it when you come to Prague. We call it Václavské náměstí, named after the guy who's sitting up on the horse up on top of the square. And now you can walk around and admire the beautiful buildings that surround this square, but if you would happen to be here a couple of years ago, you would not be able to do that because this was only for cars. And then somebody came up with the idea and said, look, how about we turn the road into a pedestrian zone, therefore people will be able to use it. And that's what they did 10 years ago, but they left it in the same state with the roads and the sidewalk, and people were actually only walking still on the sidewalks even though they were able to use the road. And then they did this. They leveled the entire square, so you don't see where's the difference between a road or a sidewalk. This whole zone is a pedestrian zone, therefore you can use it wherever, and it is great. We walk here with Honza every single day when we film something or when we go to the city, to a store, to a bank, whatever. And whenever we walk on the square, we're like, this is a really, really cool change. This change that we're on right now, which is an old parking lot that was turned into a square, we've already mentioned on our videos, but I like to re-mention it mainly for the reason, what was blocking this change? Like, who was the person saying, no, we rather want a parking lot than a square? Where there were such people. And the main argument was, where will the cars park? Well, it looks like they found a different parking spot. And then the other argument was, nobody's gonna sit on a square. These people seem kind of happy. And I mean, we use this place many times as our studio. So I think this, once again, a positive change that was being blocked for years and years by little individuals that were blocking a better cause for the whole city. Yes. Jsem součástí skupiny Přidej se a znič si nechty. Takže občas musíš strhnout něco. This change is the most recent we had in Prague. This is Park Cihelna, and it has a beautiful view overlooking the Charles Bridge, so you would think there was always a place to sit down and look at it. Well, not really. I mean, there were a few benches, but not as it is today. So it is definitely a positive change, mainly for tourists, so they can come here on a Lime scooter or a bike and sit down and look at it. And if they want to continue, nowadays they don't have to go up on the road, they can just cross under the bridge because there's a new beautiful underpass, so you can sort of follow the river along the way. And I think that would be great if you could just walk along the river of its entire length in the city. So maybe that will be a future change, but this is perfect and people seem to love it. I know I'm repeating myself, but this is again a great change. You follow the bike path. Here you get on the A1, which is the main path through the city of Prague along the river. Super cool. Imagine if I would tell you that I'm about to tell all these people that they have to all move to the only half of this sidewalk. Well, that used to be the reality of this tram stop and many tram stops around the city. And then someone came and said, look, there's a lot of people traveling on these trams we have in Prague. How about we give them some space when they wait for them, which is exactly what happened here. And somebody actually doubled the space of a tram stop and took away half of a lane for cars. And you can see there's currently 2 cars, and look how many people are here. And these people will be gone within 5 minutes, and new people will be here within 5 minutes. So this is a massive change for comfort of traveling or waiting to travel in Prague. Looking at this minor change with a huge impact, you may think, well, I'm sure nobody was against it, right? It only has its benefits and pros, no cons. Well, there was actually one politician who was against it. And he said, if we extend the tram stop, it's gonna cause a complete traffic chaos for the cars because you're gonna take away one lane. Well, we're here, it's an afternoon, which is a busy day for cars, and I don't see any chaos. Currently, there are 3 cars waiting to turn right and about 100 people waiting for their trams. So nothing like that happened, and the politician, believe it or not, deleted the tweet. Obviously, I do the same thing, man. I do that all the time. Whenever I'm wrong about a prediction, I'm like, oh, where's that tweet? Delete. Many other minor positive changes happened to our city in the past months and years. For example, if you have a year pass, you can use the bike sharing service for free. You can buy a ticket on a tram with your credit card, which is super useful for tourists and foreigners, and many other changes that we didn't mention. Now in this video, we took the approach, the angle of looking at it positively at any change we showed you. Next week on our channel, we're going to take a different approach, and the approach will be, well, that change is negative towards us and towards our city. And you may be surprised that you may see some of the spots we showed you today again. So stay tuned, subscribe so you won't miss the future video, and I'll see you next week here on the Honest Guide channel from Prague. And in the end, I'm going to teach you a Czech word that will be ostrůvek, which would translate to little island, ostrůvek, little island. But we usually, when we talk about it, and I would say, oh yeah, on that ostrůvek, I would be referring to the pedestrian island, or in this case, the tram stop that is between the tram tracks and the road, and it is sort of an island, little island, ostrůvek.